I never knew my mother or my father. As reliably as I can learn, my mother died the same year I was born, the year of our Lord, 1587, the 29th of Queen Elizabeth's reign. The name I carried with me throughout my youth was attached to me, more or less accidentally, by Mistress MacGregor of the orphanage. I was placed in her care by some neighbour. When she saw how small and frail I was, she exclaimed, "Och, the poor little pidgwidgeon!" From that unfortunate expression came the appellation of Widge, which stuck to me for years, like pitch. It might have been worse, of course. They might have called me Pig. Of my life at the orphanage, I have made it a habit to recall as little as possible. The long and short of it is, it was an institution, and institutions are governed by expediency. Mistress MacGregor was not a bad woman, just an overburdened one. Occasionally she lost her temper and beat one of us, but for the most part we were not mistreated so much as neglected. The money given us by the parish was not enough to keep one child properly clothed and fed, let alone 6 or 7. We depended mostly upon charity. When someone felt charitable, our bellies were relatively full. Otherwise we dined on barley mush and wild greens. When times were hard for others, they were doubly so for us. It was the dream of each child within those dreary walls that someday a real family would come and claim him. Preferably it would be his true parents, who were, of course, royalty. But any set would do, or so we thought. When I was 7 years of age, my prospects changed, as some say they do every 7 years of a person's life. The grand climacteric, I have heard it called. That orphan's dream suddenly became a reality for me. The rector from the nearby hamlet of Berwick came looking for an apprentice, and thanks to Mistress MacGregor's praise, settled on me. The man's name was Dr. Timothy Bright. His title was not a religious one, but a medical one. He had studied physic at Cambridge and practised in the city of London before coming north to Yorkshire. Naturally, I was grateful and eager to please. I did readily whatever was asked of me, and at first it seemed I'd been very fortunate. Dr. Bright and his wife were not affectionate towards me, nor indeed toward their own children. But they gave me a comfortable place to sleep at one end of the apothecary, the room where the doctor prepared his medicines and infusions. There was always some potion simmering over a pot of burning pitch, and one of my duties was to tend to these. The pitch fire kept the room reasonably warm. I took my meals in the kitchen. Though the situation was hardly what we orphans had secretly hoped for, it was more or less what I had expected. With one exception. I was to be taught to read and write, not only in English, but in Latin. And not only in Latin, but also in a curious abbreviated language of Dr. Bright's own devising. Charactery, he called it. It was, to use his own words, an art of short, swift, and secret writing, by the which one may transcribe the spoken word as rapidly as it issues from the tongue. His object, I soon learned, was not to offer me an education so much as to prepare me to be his assistant. I was to keep his scientific notes for him, and to transcribe his weekly sermons. I had always been a quick student, but I was never quick enough to suit the doctor. He had some idea that his method of stenography could be learned in a matter of mere months, and he meant to use me to prove it. I was a sore disappointment to him. It was an awkward system, and it took me a full year to become reasonably adept, and another year before I could set down every word without begging him to speak more slowly. This vexed him, for once his ample mouth was set in motion, he did not like to stop it. To his mind, of course, the fault lay not with his system, but with me, for being so thick-headed. I never saw him write anything in this shorthand himself. I'm inclined to think he never mastered it. As I grew confident with the system, I began to make my own small improvements in it, without the doctor's knowledge, of course. He was a vain man. Because he had once written a book, a dry treatise on melancholy, he felt the world should ever after make special allowances for him. He had written nothing since, so far as I knew, except his weekly sermons, and, as I was soon to discover, not always those.